Hey, see what came in the mail? Stick around and we'll take a look at what's in the box. Hey, it's Grover with Old Ones with Dice. Today we're going to be looking at this. This is the Cyberpunk Edgerunners miniatures game. This is part of the Cyberpunk Combatzone series of games. We'll take a look at comparing this to the Cyberpunk Red starter box. This is the pre-order edition. I ordered this at Adepticon last year. A little confusion in terms of the shipping. Finally ended up having to contact Monster Fight Club. Got it worked out, talked to John, the owner. He was real gracious and made sure I got my package right out of the way. Excellent customer service, I just gotta say. So this is a follow-up to Cyberpunk Red Combatzone, technically. So this one is pretty much a standalone game. Everything you need in there to play the game is in here. I'm expecting we have the same in this box. Let's take a look. All right, so now we're taking a look at the box. Now this is the pre-order edition. I ordered this at Adepticon. So this should be coming with a piece of artwork depicting the moment. Let me move that so the glare isn't on it. The moment, which if you watch the show, you know exactly what this is. And your probably heart breaks a little bit. Look, seeing it, there's a kind of a better image of it. There should be a piece of artwork and there should be a miniature that is in here that goes with this. This edition is not the edition with miniatures. This comes with plastic standees. I kind of wanted to see what they look like. I'm not really the biggest painter, though I do paint things, and I really wanted to be able to get into this game as quickly as possible, and I was really intrigued with the idea of the plastic standees. This is a general game that comes with everything in it. You're going to have a terrain board, you're going to have terrain pieces, all the tokens, dice, cards, everything you need to get started and play the scenarios in this box are in here. It's one of the really great deals in terms of two-player starter sets. I believe this one comes with an Edgerunners team that you can build up from and an Arasaka team. The original Cyberpunk Red Combatzone came with Tiger Claws and Maelstrom, two of the starter sets for that. I believe the terrain is very similar. Let's get into this thing. All right, so first off, let's see. Yep, we've got, guessing this is my artwork, I guess. This is kind of a small little piece, but it is kind of cool. We'll set that aside. We have general, okay. Even nameless Arasaka drones have a story to tell in Night City. This kind of shows you a little bit about the Cyberpunk Red Combatzone. This is the other starter box that comes with these two forces, and then some of the other gangs that you can buy. Now these boxes in the States here, they retail for about $39, I think is the retail. And you get basically a full gang to start with. There's usually another expansion box to get you a few more characters, and there's a Gonks box, which gives you a couple of the, I think 3 of the cannon fodder appropriate to that gang. So Generation Red, Bozos, Danger Gals, Lawmen, Zoners. I know there's also Arasaka, and there's a couple of different Edgerunner teams that you can get in addition. So we'll set that aside. Okay, we got a rule book. All right. We'll set that aside at least for now. And I think, what do we got here? We have start sheet. Read this first. So this tells me everything that's in here. Make sure we have it. So we have the Santo Domingo Edgerunners. So we have the plastic standees for those and the Arasaka Corporation forces. Now you're going to have rulebook, dice, the limiters, which are your measuring tools for measuring movement and for ranged attacks, whether you're in melee attacks. You have the game board. This is, in the past, my experience, these are pretty heavy-duty cardboard. Same thing with the terrain. Nice. It is cardboard, but it is a very thick, heavy, well-printed cardboard. You got the cards for the characters, loot decks, gear, and your hacking program decks. We have your actions, block, hacked, I think impact, I'm not sure what impact is, camera, terminals, I guess objectives probably, dead bodies, and objective tokens. All right, you got some instructions for putting in the terrain. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put at least one piece of kind of the walled structures and probably put together one of the kind of Jersey barriers, just so you can see what they look like on the board. All right, scenarios. I think there's 10 scenarios in here. Got a nice little basic game summary on the back of that. So you got your basic actions and kind of your game summary to get started. Determine your player size, build your team, choose a scenario, play out your game, and then determine who wins. So we'll take a look. So Bounty Blitz, I think you can go ahead and kind of random them out, or now this gives you some of the instructions in terms of if you want to run a campaign. So you build up your teams. Now, as your teams get more powerful and you're going against a team that's not as powerful, I believe the balance mechanic is basically luck tokens, for your free re-rolls you can do during the game. There might be more to it, but I believe that's the main element for balancing out teams with different street cred, which is kind of your experience that you'll build up. Okay, so we're looking at the scenario of Bounty Blitz. Word's gone out, a lucrative bounty, so you're trying to track someone down. Both players roll a green die and add their team's add their team street cred. Player with the higher number is the hunter. The other player is the stalker. Take all 10 objective markers, mix them face down. Then each player takes 5 without looking at their values. Starting with the hunter, both players take turns placing objective markers face down anywhere in the battle space, at least red away from all other objective markers, and more than red away from all board edges. Then, starting with the hunter, both players take turns placing a single model from their team anywhere on the battle space, at least yellow from all other models. So anywhere on the board. Interesting. Once one team has placed all their models, or there are no legal placements left for their models, the players stop and any remaining models are placed in reserve. Finally, the hunter rolls a green die, rerolls crits and fumbles. The result is the bounty objective. Do not reveal the objective values yet. Stalker has control first. Objective markers may be dragged as an object. Models may take the facial scan action. If successful, reveal the value of an objective marker within reach. If it is not the bounty objective, remove it from play. So basically, you got a bunch of objective markers. You're trying to get a hold of them, grab control of it, and see if it's the bounty. All right, tricky bounty. The tricky bounties are the ones that fight back, huh? After a model takes the facial action scan, the revival may spend a luck token to force the attacking character to resist a melee attack from the obstacle. Obstacle die is the black 10-sided die. Dice are either, I believe it's red 6-siders, yellow 8-siders, green 12-sided dice. And that's for your higher and lower skill levels. When a player inspires their team, if the bounty objective is revealed and only one team has one or more models within red of it, the game ends and the team within red of the bounty objective wins. So basically you're trying to find the objective and then inspire your team. Inspiring is once your actions have all been taken, or at some point you can choose, instead of activating a model, you can inspire your team and your models get their activation tokens refreshed. So that's one scenario. I believe there are 10 different ones in here. So my experience with Cyberpunk Red Combatzone, pretty narrative, interesting scenarios in there to play through. So now this is they're limiting, it's kind of a measuring device. You got reach, which is the width. Red is going to be basically your melee range. Yellow and green is how far you can shoot, and these are different movements. If you use a red action to move, that's as far as you can go. If you use a yellow, that's as far as you can go. If you're using a green action to move, you can go the full length of the device, which I think 3, 7, 12, I think is what these correspond to in inches. Let me look quick. Yeah, 3, 7, and 12 inches. So So there's one for each player. All right, now we got our terrain boards. All right, we got 3 sheets of terrain. So you got buildings and Jersey barriers and ruined building pieces. Let's set this aside and look. Let's see, I wanted to look at a Jersey barrier. So here's one here. Pop these out. Now, as you can see, these are cardboard, but you can see they are nice thick cardboard, printed on both sides. Now, I guess you could probably take these terrain all apart and put it back in the box. Generally, everything you need to play the game is in here and will pack back in this box. There we go. I don't know, a lot of times with this cardboard terrain, you know, you put it together, things start to peel, things start to fall apart the more times you take them apart and put them back together. So do that at your own risk. It might be better just to leave it all together. All right, so there we got a Jersey barrier. Take a look. So let's set that aside so we can put that on a game board later. And I wanted to look at a piece of terrain. I wanted to throw something together. So we got a number of 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like, looking at it, looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the Jersey barriers. 2 buildings that go together. So it looks like, So I think these are secondary floors. So I wish these were numbered to make it a little easier to figure out which ones to go together. I'm assuming it's probably they're not, because there's probably some flexibility in terms of rebuilding and building them in slightly different ways, but it's a little difficult to figure out what's supposed to go with what. Because, you know, that picture that shows it is not real big. So let's see, we've got one piece that goes into, I guess, this one here. How many? Okay, we got 2 of those. There we go. What I really want to get together is one of the wall pieces. Let me find one that's pretty basic looking. Because there are plastic clips, which I'm assuming are going to be back in here, that should do these. I don't want to take all of our time just putting these together, but I want to try to at least show what one of them looks like. All right, there's one. All right, looks like these 2. Now again, I'm just looking through trying to find the pieces that match up. Yeah, let's look inside here quick. And there they are. So, in the other box set, this bag is actually hidden underneath the divider, so keep an eye out for that. So this is showing 3. So I'm going to build it like this. So these line up. And it shows 3 of the clips. Now these clips do look slightly different than the ones that I've used in the other box. The other ones I don't have kind of the step side. So you can see they simulate the bricks. We'll slide this together. Pretty tight fit, but now we got a piece of terrain. And you'll notice like these windows actually are punched outable. I don't think that's a word, but so again, we're going to set that aside. And I think once we pull out the board, we'll take a look at it. So looked at the clips. All right, so here's your tokens. So these are going to be your activation tokens, red, green, yellow. Luck tokens, camera. I'm not 100% sure what these are. I haven't seen these before. And then you have your luck tokens. And objective tokens. Okay, I see. We talked about that one scenario where you had 10 of them. As you can see, there is a number on both. A number on side, and the other side is just an exclamation mark. These are hack tokens. They're going to go on your player card if you've been hacked. So we'll set that aside. And now we get to the big thing. This is the game board. And again, these are heavy-duty cardboard. They come with 2 sides. I think I should have enough room here to get the entire thing on the board. There we go. Hopefully the glare is not too bad. You can kind of see the amount of detail on here. And so here's your jersey barriers. You can place these out, place some buildings. Some of the buildings have multiple floors, so you're going to have kind of steps to them. I believe there's a building that has a catwalk goes across the roadway. So you have, like I said, ready to go right from the board. Everything you need is in here. These are the 22 by 30. Double check that measurement. So 22, 30 inches, which is kind of a standard board size we're seeing for skirmish games. Games Workshop's using that for Kill Team. It's the same size you're seeing for Spearhead. So let's look at the other side. So it's kind of this deserty type ruins, and then this side we have a roadway with craters in it. This looks very similar to the boards that's in the Cyberpunk Red Combatzone. I don't believe it has the craters to it, but it has the same kind of markings, same style, same kind of color palette to it. But again, you know, gives you an opportunity to build the terrain how you want it. Quite a few pieces in there. I'm trying to look. Looks like you have the one larger building, this, which is kind of your smaller wrecked building, this one here, which has a catwalk to it, and then you got the jersey barriers and kind of rubble pieces. So it is a skirmish game, so you're going to want a lot of terrain. Anyone who's caught out in the open, you're probably going to be in trouble. So now that we got the board out, let's take a look. What else we got in there? All right. Oh, here is the miniature. This is the Moment miniature. This is the limited edition one. I believe is only going to be coming in the, it's only coming in this, in the pre-orders. I'm sure at some point you'll be able to get your hands on it. I did get one at Adepticon. that I gave away to a friend so he could try to paint it up. And now I have this one that came with the box. So I don't want to fit it too hard together, but hard to see. But if you know this scene. So I'm trying to hold it and stand like that. Hold it up. All right, put that away. I'm looking at the detail. These are kind of I don't know, I usually call it a spin cast. They're kind of a softer plastic than your 40K plastics, but still quite a bit of detail. Sometimes when these molds get older, you start getting a lot more flashing, but these actually still look pretty clean. There's a couple of mold lines. Like right here, you can see it. That needs to get cleaned up. That'll definitely be a project down the road. Well, all right, here's our plastic piece, our plastic standees. Now, I've reviewed another company has plastic standees that are very quick to put together. They're very thin plastic, so they pack up really nice and flat, but they're kind of flimsy. They don't have a lot of weight to them, but these definitely a little heavier duty. So here we go. Let's see if we can get a good look at that. There's the front, Atom Smasher, front, back, and then it's like a little protective plastic on these. There you go. So there, put it in relation to a piece of terrain. Here we go. Rebecca, let's see. Where is he? Was the best character? He's here somewhere. Ah. Falco, because of the mustache. And then the rest are going to be your Arasaka teams. You got, let's see, yes, Pilar. I believe there's 2 Davids. So you have young David and then grown-up David. So overall, I mean, these are pretty good quality. I mean, it's not gonna be as immersive as if you had painted miniatures, but if you don't have the time to paint the miniatures, this is something, you can throw this together, all the terrain, all of this, you can do this in an hour probably, put it together, and you're ready to play the game. Not a lot of miniatures games are gonna give you that option. And I really like this idea, and I wanted to see, and these are, I don't know, see how thick these things are. Nicely colored, nicely painted, well, printed on, front and back, so. So hopefully this should be up and running pretty quickly, and hopefully I can get a game in, get a battle report filmed sooner than later, hopefully this week or next. Probably go through a scenario. My experience playing the other game, it is a pretty solid rule set with skirmish, with the reaction system, so you do get interrupts. It is an alternating activation. You activate a model and you can do whatever actions they have on there. Depending on their skill level, they're going to have more actions available to them. Here's your dice we talked about earlier. So all your dice are going to come. So your D6s, right? It's 6-sided. So your 6 is always going to be, this is called a crit. This is always successful unless the defender rolls a crit. Ties go to the defender. But otherwise a crit always is always successful. And there's a lot of special rules that, you know, it does deadly wounds, which I believe does 2 wounds to the target. Fumbles, obviously always fails. And it's interesting mechanic, your red dice, has a 1 in 6 chance of getting a crit, while your generally better skill, like your D12, has a 1 in 12 chance of getting that crit. So it gets you a little interesting mechanic. So sometimes you might want to say, well, go for nothing and roll that red die instead. If you've got a red activation, because you need that, maybe you need that crit. These black dice, these are going to be basically your unopposed roll. So jumping over something, I believe avoiding damage, like if you fall, or jumping over a piece of terrain. So this is the roll you're trying to beat. So the way this generally works is, let's take a look at a card here. So we have 2 forces. So we have the Edgerunners. We got, let's see, this is, I think this is adult David Martinez. So as you can see, he has 4 activations he can take. These are all yellow. So if he wants to move, he gets to move yellow distance. If he wants to punch somebody against this skill, so he's going to roll two dice. Well, he got a crit. So actually, he's going to roll 1 die, sorry. 1 die, and he's going to add that number. So it's a 9. If he's defending, someone's rolling, they're going to roll their reflexes, which is going to be this symbol here, this middle one. So, and again, we have a fumble, which means, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm rolling 2 dice. It's 1 die. So it's a 4 plus 2, 6. So that would have been a successful hit. In which case, it gets complicated, but basically whatever action token you used now becomes red. Once you have all of your action tokens have been converted to red and you take another point of damage, then you are out of the game. So adult David, with that little extra star, which means that's his higher level. Let's see, 20 points. You can generally, in a basic game, I believe it's an extra 5 points, might be 10 points. I say points, dollars, extra bucks for your point level to take a starred character. I think there's probably limitations to how many of the starred characters you can take at a time. But otherwise, it's generally during the campaigns, if they level up, you're gonna switch from the lower level up to the higher one. Anyway, so we got Falco, Rebecca, Pilar, Kiwi, Dorio, which is interesting. She only has 2 potential activations, and Maine. So you can see base Maine has green, yellow with really strong melee. Now you're going to also notice that they're going to have a special rule. So when this model is taken out, refresh all friendly characters. So when he dies, if he dies, all the rest of the characters basically get their activations, their tokens flipped back over. So looking back at the tokens, you can see the tokens. There's a front and a back. So once you've used a green token, it becomes red until you inspire your team, which you can choose to do when you're completely out of tokens or at any point. Let's see some of the other. So the Sandevistan is kind of interesting. All it really does, as far as I can tell, is it gives you more defense rather than kind of any offense. So the Sandevistan plays 2 yellow action tokens on this gear. These tokens may only be used to make reactions, which is you run after you've been wounded, you get to shoot back or run away, move basically. These tokens may only be used to make reactions. These tokens don't refresh when you inspire. So basically, after this model activates, refresh one of the Sandevistans. So it kind of recharges as you activate. . So talked about the mechanics of the red die. So Rebecca, one of her special abilities is that she's unpredictable. This model may roll red die, which means you're more likely to fumble, but you're more likely to get that crit because of the way the math works on a 6-sided die. You have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a crit, and you have the 1 in 6 chance of getting a fumble. Kind of, a tiny bundle of chaos. All right, let's look at some of the Arasaka. All right, there you go, Atom Smasher. Now, obviously, you can see Atom Smasher comes with 2 stars. So you got to be pretty high level to take it. It was $50 to take them. Most of your team levels are going to be 100, 150, 200. I keep saying points, but I believe it's like bucks, cyber bucks, euros, whatever the currency is. But you can see he takes 4 actions. He's got special abilities. Unkillable. This model is a cyber character. When this model is taken out, do not place a body token. He's a monster. When this model takes out a rival model, refresh one of its action tokens. As you can see, he's got a +4 for his shooting, 3 for his melee, and a 2 for the his hacking ability. So pretty tough. Here's a Gonk character. There is no Gonk character as far as I could tell for the Edgerunners. So you don't have, I don't think there was. There is no kind of cannon fodder character in there. Huh. Yeah, there is not. They're all Edgerunners. Now, Gonks are, once you have your team, say you have 4 characters, they've used up their action tokens and you want to refresh those tokens. Rather than activating a model, you can take an Inspire. What that means is, first thing, any of your Gonks are on the board. Those Gonks get to their single activation. So they can move or shoot. When this model is targeted by an attack that fails, one other friendly model may move green for free, which is actually kind of nice. So if you shoot at the Gonk, you're kind of causing a problem. So each character is going to have their activations, their types on the left side, and they're going to have on the right side what their abilities, and then whatever their particular special skill is, and you're going to have how many points it takes to take them. Also, a lot of these guys will have armor. So we've looked at the different forces that are available, and so I believe there are 40 different gear cards. Shotguns, katana, each one has its own ability. You have what range it can be used in, how many points it takes to take it, how much street cred you have to have in order to have one in your force, and what the special abilities are, and how many. And so like the 2 rarity means you can't take more than 2 of them. So these are all pretty universal. Let's see. Sniper rifle, so you can only have 1 sniper rifle. Now you can see that sniper rifle can only fire more than 12 inches away. So it means you cannot fire this distance. So so it has to be farther away, and it has deadly crits. So most things are limited to that die roll away. Monowire, Pierce 4, so it goes right through armor. Torrent, I believe it can hit multiple targets. I have to look up some of these special rules when we get to the rule book. I believe there are 40 different pieces of equipment. And then there should be, there we go. So gear, whoa. So I think this is loot. This is stuff you can find. I believe that's what they are. Let me look at And then these are going to be your hacks. So if the ability has the Netrunner, has that, they can then take some of these. I'm not sure. I guess you do take points and how many you can take. Okay, I'm sorry. So these are, looking at it, so these are going to be 50, so you have 2 decks of 53, so there's 106 of these, 40 of the loot cards. So if you're looting dead bodies, this is the kind of stuff that you can find. I'm assuming there's other parts in the scenarios where you can grab loot. And then these are going to be your, what do they call them in here? Those are your program decks. These are basically your different hacking programs. So, that's a piece of gear. So I'm assuming there must be 2 identical. I don't know why they're all mixed together, but you got 2 of those. So this is 106 of those. And then most of that most of that gear is going to be universal, that anyone can take it. It's just you're limited to how many you can have in a force. So let's get these all back in. One nice thing is once all like these tokens are punched out, it already comes with all the Ziploc bags. I got all my Ziploc bags to go with it. And make sure there's nothing underneath here into the box. Nothing. So I really didn't go through how you play the game. It's a little bit more complicated. I'm sure there's some other videos. Rules are going to be the same for the other Combatzone, and there's a number of sites out that did. There's a number of the sites that have already done how to play videos, but hopefully we'll have an actual gameplay video coming up here relatively soon. I'm going to start putting some of this stuff away, clear some space, and let's take a look at the rule book quick. So the rule books, here's your special ability. Here's, in your back you have a glossary. So looking up all your various different, what does deadly attack? Deadly attacks deal an additional wound when they hit. And with a page 36 for details, which is actually pretty nice. So you got your special abilities that are going to be on your weapons or on, pieces of gear, and it's going to tell you what they are. And then you're going to have a page number, which is going to tell you to go find the special rules. So if I want to find out what deadly does, deadly attacks deal an additional wound when they hit. Deadly is often triggered by a crit, as in deadly crits. So this is, these are kind of your universal special rules that are going to be on different pieces of equipment and characters. That's how you can find. It's a pretty well laid out. So you have keywords and terms, net running. So you have a section you want to learn how to do the hacking, how to do your fights, climbing, movement. It's a pretty straightforward rule set. If you've ever played any sort of miniatures game, it should be pretty familiar with it. The actual details will be specifics. It's generally, you have, your character is going to have multiple activations that they're available before they refresh during the inspire phase. Usually when you're attacking someone, it's an opposed roll. You're rolling against your skill, and they're rolling against their defense. Shooting, same thing. Movements. So it's a pretty clean rule set. I really like it. So I don't know. I'll try to get some games in soon. So I don't know who else has bought this box set. I know it's going to be retail by the time I get this uploaded, it should be pretty close to being on the market. If not, right away within a day or two. So this is right now we're at the mid-February 2025. And like I said, this is just my copy, which was a pre-order, just finally showed up. And so let me know what you think. Is this something, did you watch the show and you really want to play out some of these fights in real life? Have you played Cyberpunk, whether the RPG, Cyberpunk 2077, the video game? You know, what did you think? For me, I really like the game so far. I like what comes in here. I think this is a great value. And I believe this is going to be retailing standard for $99, $100 in the United States. And to get a complete game that's ready to go right out of the box for that amount, it's great. And having two different forces, each with their own unique flavor, I think is one of the great things I love to see in two-player starter sets. So as sets like that go, this is a pretty darn good value. So till next time, this has been Grover at Old Ones with Dice.